Wildcat football. Eric Hughes now joined with head coach Shawn Flannigan. And Coach, first of all, it's going to be hard for me not to call you Flan the Man. But
that's all right.
Coach, congratulations. When you came in here, we talked about that monkey off your back. That's got to feel pretty good. Victory number 1 in a new town.
Victory number 1 in a new town with all that pressure from the community and the administrator and the expectation level. And you know, it finally paid off tonight. And you know, yeah, the monkey's off, but he climbed right back on in the morning. With big 5A Lebanon coming to town, so it's going to be a great challenge, and you know, we better be ready. Make a lot of improvements from, you know, coaches are never satisfied.
Well,
so.
Sure. Well, let's get the negatives out of the way real quick, Coach. There wasn't a whole lot of them necessarily. I know you're going to say there was, but obviously the penalties.
Yeah.
That's we're not going to talk too much about that. I'm not going to get you fired up too much. But you know, penalties was a problem. We had a lot of holds. We had a lot of you know, little things. Holds was probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But, some of those things you got to work on, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of holding, a lot of defensive offsides, a couple of offensive offsides, which, I mean, yeah, I'm extremely disappointed with the penalties, and there's far too many. And if we're playing, you know, a Class 4, Class 5 opponent, and no disrespect to Seneca, they are a tremendous ball club. But if we're playing someone that's our size, that you know, all those penalties are going to hurt us, and it's going to, you know, potentially cost us the game. Those are things that will be ironed out in practice next week. Those are going to be points of emphasis. And you know, sometimes holdings happen. I mean, and that's what I talked with one of the officials at halftime, and I said everybody holds. I said coaches coach kids not to hold, but they all hold. I said, and I know it's going to happen. So, but you know, we hope that we can get better at blocking and get in better position so we don't have to hold, and then just do a better job of watching the football both on offense and defense.
One more negative I want to talk about was a couple extra points, but no one's perfect. It's not going to happen every time in high school football.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, little things like that. But other than that, hey, you guys came out here. I think everyone was expecting this spread offense to do what you guys did. That first three times you guys touched the football, scored touchdowns, that's got to be a pretty good feeling.
That's a real good feeling. We scripted our first 10 plays, and I don't think we made it through the first 10 plays until I think it was in the 3rd possession when we went through our first 10, and then I started calling them off the hip from there. But yeah, that's anytime you can put the offense on the field and they just move the ball down and score, that's a good feeling. You got to feel good about that. I wish we could have had some of that momentum coming out in the second half, but you know, that puts your team in a great position when your offense can just march like that. And you know, we feel good about that. We just have to be more consistent.
Well, offensively, you guys, obviously we talked about moving the ball first 3 times, scoring. You guys kind of went to a little drought there for a while, but we're still moving the football. 2 good quarterbacks for you tonight, Shawn. You guys had, I mean, Wise and Dickens both looked pretty impressive in their first debuts. Of course, this is Dickens. This isn't his first start, but for a sophomore like Alex Wise, it is his first. But knowing there's pressure on your back with Dickens, both of them played really well tonight.
They did. I was pleasantly surprised with both. I didn't really know. We didn't know what to expect. You know, we went to the Jamboree last week, and I think Dickens had a significant edge from practice over Wise, and Wise had a great Jamboree. And so as coaches, we kind of said, you know, that puts us in a little quandary again. We thought we had a starter, now we're kind of not so sure. And I tell you, you know, they're both playing defense, and who knows, maybe they'll both keep playing offense, and we'll have a 2-quarterback system. I don't think we lost a ton of continuity with it, and as long as they both embrace the role and we don't have a lot of selfish behavior. And I mean, Kyle and Alex are very good friends, they're good buddies, their families are good friends, and if we can keep the negative my son should be playing or I should be playing out of the equation, I think I see a pretty winning combination there.
Running back wise, Jared Shirley nearly gets 100 yards. He needed 2 more yards.
Oh man!
In my book, now Cody Thorne from Neosho Daily, you know, Neosho Daily's filming this right now. He'll probably tell you otherwise, but I had him short 2 yards.
Okay.
And, but he had a great game. You know, 98 yards. Sorry, my cell phone's ringing. Sorry, Neosho Daily. And he had 98 yards, and that 46-yarder kind of helped too.
Yeah.
Right out of the bat. But Jared, you know, he's a hard guy to bring down.
He's just a bowling ball. I mean, he's about 5'9". He weighs about 195 pounds. He's a strong kid, real physical runner. You know, he's a little different than what you typically see with spread teams. You see more of a slasher, juker, jiver guy. But he does a really good job of reading the block, making the first initial cut, and then getting vertical up the field. And you know, when you got guys moving forward and they're gaining yardage, I'm not going to complain. He's a great back. He's a good kid. You know, and yeah, he's gonna carry the load for us.
He's a young guy. You got a lot of young guys stepping up for you. Will and good game for him in a varsity debut.
Yeah. He was able to step into a starting position with the injury to Jake Middleton a couple weeks ago, and Jake's still not healthy. Hopefully next week we'll get him back. But I mean, Will came in and does a fantastic game. Had his jitters, dropped that first ball, and then after that, I mean, he was off and running. And I mean, did a great job. I don't know his stats, but I know he had a lot of yardage total. And when you got a guy that you can bring in as a backup and have that kind of production out of, that just makes your team very successful.
More about the depth. Let's talk about the defense. Defensively, you guys started off pretty good, and then they started getting a little success on the ground a little bit against you guys. That fullback, I don't know how much he weighs, but he's a pretty big kid, pretty tough kid to bring in.
Well, both of the running backs were offensive linemen last year, so and I think that's a tribute to Coach Townsend and his staff to be able to see ability in those guys and say we need to move them back and be able to bring quality guys in behind them to open holes for them. Yeah, they exploited some weaknesses that they found, and initially we didn't adjust very well. We couldn't get our players doing the responsibilities. We talked about it at halftime, and I think we came out in the second half and we did a better job. I don't want to say we did a great job, but we did a better job than we did in the first half.
Well,